Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie, or if you're new here, I'm Steph, and I don't know why I randomly decide to do an introduction and other times I don't. Anyway, I'm gonna make this introduction brief. I had planned to do this series on my channel every single month, or at least every other month, but that's just not gonna happen. With the way that I'm reading recently, it's not gonna happen. But my idea that I was hopeful to start in January was like a series completion project, because last year in October I decided to marathon the Diviner series. I did have a really good time and I wanted to kind of take that into this year, which was my hope in January, that I would pick a series and then I would read it in that month, but that's unrealistic. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do it every other month. It's now March, and who knows if I'll even be able to finish this in March. So I'm taking the pressure off, and every once in a while I will hopefully have a video where I marathon series. So this month I'm gonna marathon City of Brass. I know Christine is quaking right now. I am really excited because I've had City of Brass on my TBR since before it came out. I think it came out in like 2018 or something like that. Just kidding, it came out in 2017. I have had it since then because I pre-ordered it. I was that excited about it. I love desert fantasies. This is a really beloved series on BookTube. So I have really high hopes that I will like it. I also really just want to complete this series because for whatever reason I bought the whole series. And that's actually why this series concept, which is not really that original, new, fun, fresh, but it's why it sparked in my brain that I wanted to do it, was because I have so many series that back in the day, I mean, I sometimes still do it, but back in the day I used to be really, really bad about just buying entire series without ever reading the first one. Obviously, City of Brass is one of those series. Also, my friend Erin from Booked and Busy on here loves marathoning series and has recently been marathoning the Throne of Glass series, and it has inspired me to try again with this video concept. So if you're seeing this, I was successful.
Gathered by the sea, sand people anxiously. Not once did speak to me. When tides came, did not flee. They each spoke the same, had the same dreams, same pain and same feelings. Staring at the sea and what was left of me.
Hello, I'm all shiny because I did my skincare, but I'm reading City of Brass and I just met Dara, who I hear is a fan favorite, or some people hate him. I just met him. I have no opinion on him because I just finished a chapter where he revealed who he is, even though I had like a suspicion that that was who it was. And I think I mentioned in the beginning of this vlog that this is my second time trying to read City of Brass. The first time I read it, I was listening to it on audiobook and I actually still have the bookmark in here. I got to 273 pages. You would think that I would remember things, but I don't remember anything. I definitely don't remember the beginning being this explosive and fast paced, but I really had a good time reading the beginning. I flew through it. And recently I've been like a slow physical reader, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun so far. And I hope the pace kind of keeps up with the beginning, but I have heard that this is a slow first book in a series. Good morning. It's daylight savings time or whatever. It's like right after daylight saving time. Daylight savings time. It's the day after that. It's Monday and I'm so tired and it's just an hour. What's going on, my guy, my body? Why is an hour that big of a deal to you? Anyway, it's like 7:30. I can't believe how bright it is right now. On average, I wake up at like 6:30. My body just won't let me sleep past then. Well, sometimes I'll fall back asleep, but generally I'm up 6:30, 7 o'clock every single morning, no matter what I want. Because believe me, I don't want this. I don't want it. Anyway, that's not the point of this update. The point is I'm a quarter of the way in City of Brass, and I'm happy to say that I'm really enjoying it. I did have an update last night where I mentioned I have tried to read this book before. So a year ago, probably around this time, I tried to read City of Brass, and that was like my second attempt of trying to read City of Brass, but it was like at times when it wasn't the right time, because I would be on the verge of a reading slump, and that's really never the right time to go into a new fantasy world, but somehow I always do this. So anyways, I have soft DNF'd this book on many occasions. The most recent time I got like 167 pages into it. So a lot of people try to tell me that, oh, it's really slow in the first half and you just have to wait it out until like the halfway point when they get to Daevabad and then you'll be good. And I'm like, that's not really what my problem is. My problem has not been the fact that it's a slow book, because personally, I love slow fantasy. I also don't necessarily think this is that slow. Like, it's not as slow as people made me think it was going to be, I guess. But that's coming from somebody who really likes slow fantasy, so maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. So I guess I can tell you finally what's going on in this book. So you have our main character, Nari, and she lives in Cairo, and she is a con woman, I guess. She steals things from people because she was abandoned by her parents at a very young age, and she was forced to live on the streets of Cairo for the majority of her life. So I don't think she's necessarily a con woman, but she does steal to survive because she's trying to survive out here. On top of her thieving, she has unexplainable abilities. So for the most part, she's been using her abilities to con people. And during one of her cons, she ends up summoning Dara, who's a Jinn warrior, and in the midst of summoning him, shit pops off and they have to flee. So the first half of this book, and why I think people say this is slow, is it's a journey. They're journeying to a place. So the first half of this book is them on this journey. And personally, I think they actually encounter a lot of things that make that journey really interesting and a little more high stakes than other journey stories that I've read. And you're starting to like learn about this world a bit through Dara. So I don't know. I like it personally. I can see why people say it's slow, but I don't feel that way. And that's not why I soft DNF'd this book in the first place. So anyway, that's what this is about. I'm actually really enjoying getting to know Nari and Dara. I think Nari is such an interesting character because she, for the most part, does not believe in magic whatsoever. Like, she adamantly is like, no, magic doesn't exist, but her existence in and of itself is very contrary to the idea that magic doesn't exist. But she's like so adamant that all of the magic and the gods and the jinns and things that people believe in is just, it's impossible. But then she comes face to face with the fact that these things actually potentially exist, and that she's very much like intertwined with this. And then, as you know, I met Dara, and yes, Dara is a great character. I love any character who is sarcastic. So if you have a sarcastic character, I'm gonna be drawn to them. Listen, I don't make the rules, but those are the rules. If you have a sarcastic, dark, brooding character, I'm gonna like them. They're gonna be my favorite character. I just finished the prologue of Kingdom of Copper, and there's a 5-year time jump. I don't know that I like time jumps like that in books, especially the second book, a 5-year time jump. I'm gonna trust you, Shannon. I'm gonna trust you right now, Shannon, but 5-year time jump. Also, I'm pretty sure the whole gang is gonna be split up throughout this book. I just have a feeling. And I think I mentioned this in my vlog when I was reading Wheel of Time. I hate when the gang is all split up, and I think that's what this whole book is going to be. So yesterday I finished City of Brass. I finished it before work, so I couldn't give you my final thoughts on it and my final rating, but I think I'm going to give this 4 stars. Solid 4 stars. There are a few things that just doesn't make this like a favorite or a 5-star book, but I do think that this series could become a favorite series just based on like characters alone. And even the world building is just immaculate, I think, personally. I really loved the world building in here. Not necessarily always how you were getting that information, but the world itself is super interesting to me. It's very complex, it's very rich. I just really liked learning about this world, and I actually really liked learning about it from somebody who didn't know anything about this world and about Daevabad, but also somebody who is very entrenched in this world and the politics of this world and doesn't know much about the human world. Which I don't know that I mentioned this character, but you are introduced to a second character in this story named Ali, and he is the prince of the king who rules Daevabad, and he has an interesting storyline. But the thing is, I don't like Ali. By the end of this book, I realized that he is just so infuriating. He's so frustrating. I did not like reading from his perspective. His decisions were annoying. Some of the things that he chooses to do in this book, but I think that while he's annoying, this speaks to character development. I do think there's really great characters in here, and I feel like the 3 main characters that we've focused on so far are very distinct and well developed. I really love Nahri because I said in the beginning, she absolutely doesn't even believe in magic. Like, she doesn't really even believe in the things that she's capable of doing before she's like hit over the head with this reality of magic is real, probably. And Dara is that brooding man with a really dark history, and he doesn't want to like anybody, but he finds himself drawn to different people. I just love him as a character, and he's sarcastic. Like I said, sarcastic, brooding characters will always be my favorite characters. And like, I guess with Ali, he's annoying, he's frustrating, but in reality, I guess, of his people, he's young. He's like very young and naive about a lot of things, especially politics. So even though I don't like him, I would say he's a well-written character because I don't know that you're supposed to like him. At least I hope not, because boy, was he frustrating. And you know, a lot of my troubles with his character is how stupid he is with other people. And like, you would think that he learns his lesson in this book, but he doesn't. He never really learns. He just keeps making the same types of decisions over and over again. And you're like, Ali, you are a prince. Do you really think that these people, like every person you come across, you can just trust? We love a naive prince, I guess. But I will say that I think the plot within his perspective was really interesting, and I wish he would have made different decisions regarding that, but he didn't. So yeah, I liked how his plot was unfolding, and it felt very compelling, and I was really rooting for him at first. To be honest, I was like very into his character at first because of things that he was facing and like the decisions he was trying to make, and how he was kind of coming to this realization about his own family and his people and how they treat other people. One of the overarching themes in here is about purity and purity of blood, and there's kind of a caste system that is created based off of the purity of your blood and your lineage. And I think that this is done really well in this book. And I think that especially in Ollie's perspective, you get a really good understanding of that history and why people are so obsessed with blood percentages and purity and lineage. I think that's really well done in his perspective. He's just a frustrating character. Anyway, I'm moving on. But I mean, to be fair, Nari is a very frustrating character as well. And again, I think this comes to like being a naive person thrust into this world that's very unknown to you, and you have a certain way of living and how you handle people and like how you trust people. So it's not to say that Ollie is the only frustrating character. Nari is very frustrating, but Ollie just also annoys me. But the last quarter of this book was bonkers. It threw me for a loop. It ends on a cliffhanger, and I immediately needed to start Kingdom of Copper, which I did kind of start it yesterday, but I ended up being really busy yesterday at work, so I didn't have any time to listen to my audiobook on my break because I didn't take a break. So I'm gonna be reading it all day today. In the end, I gave City of Brass 4 stars. I don't know if I said that in the beginning, but I gave it 4 stars. I did really have fun with this. I love the characters, even though Ollie is annoying. There are so many good characters in here that aren't even our main perspectives and that aren't even our core 3 characters who I'm pretty sure you follow throughout the entire series. There are other side characters that I cannot wait to learn more about. I cannot wait to see where their storylines go, because there were lots of twists in City of Brass, and that was just the first book. And now we're getting more political in Kingdom of Copper, which means that we're gonna get even more political in whatever the 3rd book is called that I cannot remember right now. Something gold. Hi, I'm back. I got a package. I may have bent the rules a little bit about me not being able to buy books. So as you saw, my City of Brass is a paperback and it's pretty tore up, and the rest of my books are hardcover. So I decided that if I already owned this book, if I wanted to buy the hardcover of the same book that I already have, does it really count? If you're unaware, I lost my challenge in my Read It Down vlog, where I was supposed to read Rachel's books within the month of February. I did not do that. I think I finished the last book for that vlog like the 6th of this month, so I absolutely did not complete that challenge. So I wasn't supposed to buy any books this month. But the thing is, I didn't buy myself something new per se. I bought myself the hardcover of City of Brass. So here's the thing. I already own City of Brass. It's a paperback and it's messed up. It's messy. The lettering is coming off on the front. It's bent. The pages are really yellowed. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't care. And I don't necessarily care, but for some reason I just really was drawn to the idea of having the full set in hardcover. And I've been feeling the same way about my Jade City and my Jade War, about switching those out to hardcover. I did annotate the paperback of City of Brass. I just didn't put in my tabs yet, so I'm gonna transfer all of my annotations. It's really pretty. I mean, I know that I technically cheated with buying books within March when I wasn't supposed to, yada, yada, yada. But I'm really happy about this purchase. Really happy about it. And if you're wondering why the package or the box was so big, I did buy something else, not book related, but I'll show you anyway. I bought a new duvet cover because I'm just really in the mood. This is really cute, actually. I was really in the mood for a different color in my bedroom. You'll see a theme, I guess, when I hold this up. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh my God, it's soft. This matches my shirt, kinda. I'm really into sage greens. I love greens, but recently I've just like, I've wanted to decorate my whole house in greens. So yeah, it's 100% cotton, I guess, and it's beautiful. One of the things that I have a lot of trouble with bedding is, well, I get sick of the colors, so then I want to switch them out, which is why I love having duvet covers, because it's easy to just switch them out, and they're quite a bit more affordable than just buying a whole ass comforter. But also my cats, they really love blankets. And even though we do clip their nails and like try to keep them at a comfortable length for them, they still like get caught in certain fabrics, and so it'll have like those bumps, or the thread will, you know, have that little bubble thing, and I hate it. And actually my current duvet unfortunately has suffered, and it's very noticeable. So hopefully the fabric on this one, which it looks like it'll be fine, the fabric on this one probably won't do that as badly as other fabrics that I've bought. Let's wash this and then make my bedding different. I'm so excited.
Ooh, I saw her in every song, in every wrong. Beautiful to see the world that way. You'll say yes to anything, believe in what they say. Take a walk with your ultraviolets that fill my soul. Your ultraviolet. And every time I know the truth, speaking one way between me and you, and I'm fine on my own. So I wrote this song to serenade the ultraviolets all alone. She knows everything there is to know, and of course she does. Just smile and hush, and in my eyes I fall asleep. Your gracious touch is numbing me. My best dark suit I'll wear for free, looking stylish.
I'm like almost halfway through Kingdom of Copper, and I'm definitely enjoying this a lot more than City of Brass. I think it's because I really like a lot of the side characters, and you're getting to see them a lot more in this story, and I'm laughing a lot at some of the interactions between these characters. There's a lot more sarcastic side characters that I'm really enjoying, and it truly pains me to say this, but I actually feel bad for Ali in this book. Pains me. It really pains me to say that, but I have a bit of empathy for him in this book. I will say there's not enough Dara in this book, and I hope that changes by the 50% mark, because I would really just enjoy a little bit more of Dara. Thank you. Also, there are a lot of characters in here that you met in the first book that I didn't know how their stories would play out in Kingdom of Copper, and I'm actually really enjoying getting to know them as characters. And there's a specific character that's talked about a lot in City of Brass that you're finally meeting, you're like actually having some interactions with in this book. And that's been really fun because I immediately liked this character. I immediately met this character and was like, yes, I love you. I love you. Plot-wise, I think it's a bit slow, which is interesting but not unexpected. I don't think it's really unexpected for a very political heavy fantasy series. So it is a bit slow, which again doesn't bother me. I like slow books. I like more character-driven books anyway. So I've been enjoying this. But I do feel like if you aren't somebody who likes many of these characters, especially side characters, and a lot of the drama that's happening, I don't see people getting through this series very easily. But I am understanding why people love this series. It is very fun. It's a fun time. It's what I needed. I definitely feel like this is what I've been craving for a while. And I'm not comparing these two series by any means. They're very different series, but the vibes, this gives me very Ember in the Ashes vibes, like adult version of Ember in the Ashes. This is definitely better than Ember in the Ashes, which is, I mean, I love Ember. It's one of the first YA fantasies that I really got into when I started reading again. So I love it. I know a lot of people hate it. They have a lot of bad opinions about it. I'm sure your opinions are valid in some universe, but not in mine. So I love that series. And this is giving me the same vibes in the sense that, like, I flew through that series. Well, at the time, only 3 books were out, and I flew through all 3 of them. And sometimes what you need in life is a fantasy that's just a good time. And that's what I feel about this, even though it's really sad. What is with me and loving, like, my favorite series are the most devastating series that you can think of. Like, the most devastating thing is continuously happen to your characters, like bad thing after bad thing after bad thing. What does that say about me? Hello, I'm almost done with this book. I'm almost done. I'm 452 pages in, and I think this is only like 600 and some pages. This was definitely a slower book than I anticipated, but not in a bad way. I like slow burn fantasy. I may have said this in my last update, but now that I'm even further, this still rings true, is that I definitely thought more would be happening in this book in terms of action, but there's more politics, which, not complaining. I really like political intrigue and slow burn fantasy, so I'm really enjoying it. But some of the characters in here are making me very mad. You know, Mutadir? Very, very irritating character in here. But the thing is I actually have a lot of hope for his character. I do believe that he can become a character in the next book that develops or has like a really good character arc. I do think that Ali is having a really interesting character arc in here. He's not as annoying in this book as he was in the first book specifically, but like even the first half of this book I wasn't really a fan, but now in this last quarter I feel like I'm really liking him more as a character, and I understand him more, and I like this journey that he's going on, kind of understanding his family and the politics that are at play within his family, and why certain people that he has looked up to for a long time make the decisions that they make. So I really enjoy where his storyline is going. I just think that he could have also, like his brother, a really good character arc. But yeah, a lot of people in here are irritating me with their decisions. I also think that the way that a lot of character dynamics and friendships are being set up, and some of the reveals that you're getting about these characters and their past, or who they're related to in their past, like that they've had interactions with people in their past that you're now finding out about. I think that is my favorite part right now. And probably my favorite part of this book is the reveals and the connections between these characters, and like how certain characters are building certain types of relationships currently. I really like that. And there's a lot of funny characters in here, mainly side characters, that I am really enjoying, and I'm glad that they're in this book, because the 3 main characters, besides Dara, but he's not like, extremely prevalent in this book. The two main characters, Nari and Ali, are not funny. They're not sarcastic. Nari can be funny, but yeah, there's not really many funny people in here that are like the main characters, but you have a lot of side characters who are hilarious, and I'm enjoying that a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna go finish this and then I'll give you my final update on it, but I am gonna jump straight into the Empire of Gold, which I'm excited about, but also nervous about, because there are many people who don't like the ending of Empire of Gold, and I don't have many series where I love the entirety of the series, like where I love the ending of a series, so that'll be interesting to see if I like how this turns out. I'm ready to be hurt is more likely what's gonna happen, is I'm gonna be hurt by a lot, because this book hurts too, but I'm sure the last book will hurt worse. Hello, it's yet another Monday, and I desperately need to wash my hair. My hair today at work was giving very Trunch Ball. It was very librarian meets Trunch Ball, which, I mean, I guess that makes sense because that's who I was for Halloween, so. Oh, my memory card is gonna die. Not my memory card's not gonna die. Memory card's gonna run out of space. 1 second. This is not the correct, I don't know. This may or may not be the correct angle. So I mainly wanted to update because I'm a quarter of the way into Empire of Gold and I'm feeling a lot of emotions. I'm feeling a lot of emotions that I didn't really expect either, and that's weird to say, but this is mainly coming from the perspective of other people's opinions of this book. And I actually have a lot of friends who love Dara, and that's like their man, right? And so coming off the heels of Kingdom of Copper and the way that that ended, but also the fact that Dara is not as prevalent in Kingdom of Copper as I expected, just based off of how much people that I'm friends with love him. I'm beginning to find out that a lot of people actually don't like him. I don't really know. Anyway, point being is I had a few expectations going into this book that I'm sure will happen, but I also am surprised at how irritated I am at Dara. And I understand him. I theoretically understand where he's coming from, the decisions that he is kind of forced to make. I understand all that. I get it. Like, I get that he's in this weird position where he's stuck between these two seeming evils, and he's just trying to pick the path that ultimately will be the less evil, which may or may not be the two paths that he's presented with. And I think that that becomes irritating as a reader because you're like, there's another option here that you're just not considering. But I think because the reader also doesn't have as many answers to a lot of questions that I have a lot of questions. There's so many things presented in the beginning of this book. There's so many things that are talked about in regards to Dara and his past that you don't have any answers to. Like, the answers that you've been given to a lot of those questions in this book are from everybody but Dara. So I am happy that he seems to be more prevalent in here. And I have hope that we're gonna start to get a lot of answers to questions we is me. Questions that we have about Dara's past and like why he's like this right now. Why are you like this right now? You know, somebody else who I'm very shocked about my feelings toward are Ali. And maybe I'm actually being hyperbolic right now because in the last half of Kingdom of Copper, I started to really like him and I started to kind of understand him more and like kind of respect him, especially with how Kingdom of Copper ended and how he's reacting to it currently. I think I have a lot of respect for him and like a lot of empathy for him. And I do hope that this just nicely rounds itself out and I end up loving Ali as a character because I would really, really like that kind of character arc. Now, I would not enjoy a character arc where I start out loving Dara and then end up being like womp womp, because that'd be really disappointing. Anyway, I'm gonna go back to reading and being in pain, and I will try to update you at the 50% mark, which is there a point to that? Because this vlog is very long, but I will give you my thoughts as I go along because I'm sure I'll have many, but they'll continue to be spoiler free. Hello, it's me. I am out of breath. Oh my God. I have a tendency to just like jog up my stairs and then come back down them really fast as if I'm like this fit, fab, fresh, young woman. I'm not. It is a Tuesday and I am having a pretty good day for the most part because I finally did my first program at my new job. I call it new, but I've been there for like 5 months now. But I finally did my first program at the library. It was an arts and crafts program for the kids. And it went really well. It was really nice to see the kids and even the parents were like really excited about the arts and crafts that we were doing, and it was in the park, and like they had their blankets. It was just a really good time, and it was actually like really nice weather today too. It was a breeze, even though it was almost 90 degrees, there was a little breeze, so it wasn't like miserable to be outside. And like, as much as I'm still scared of in-person things, it was really nice to have an in-person program. But especially, you're gonna hear Olive because she's behind the camera now. She is my filmmaker. Sorry, I got really distracted by Olive. I think what I was saying was it was really nice to have an in-person program, even though I'm still very much like not vibing with the in-person thing and no masks at all. Anyway, you came here for the Empire of Gold updates, not my job updates. So I'm basically 50% into this book. I'm possibly a little more than 50%. I have a lot of emotions. You know, one thing I will say though about this series that I find to be really interesting is the pacing. The pacing is kind of weird. Not in like a completely negative way, because I do really like slow fantasy. I actually think that these books have similar pacing to Brandon Sanderson, where there is like, I don't know, 70% of this build up to this epic high stakes ending. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here too, because there's a lot of build up happening right now. And there's a lot of like reconnecting with characters. And it's really interesting how the politics are playing out here and which characters are on other characters' side versus not their side. And this is obviously building up to a bigger conclusion. I can see that. But in both City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper, the pacing has been, for the first like 75%, it's fairly slow. And then the last 25% is like this explosive ending that we've been building to the entire book. So that pacing is really interesting to me because it reminds me of Brandon Sanderson. At least The Way of Kings felt very much that way. I can't really remember with Mistborn because by this point it's almost been 2 years since I read Mistborn. So I'm interested to see how the rest of my reading experience is going to go, because I feel like things are going to have to ramp up pretty soon, especially because she cannot leave me on a cliffhanger with this book because it's the final book in the series. So you can't leave me on a cliffhanger, Shannon. Am I right? Hello, I am in a reading sprint right now. Well, it's not really a reading sprint. We're doing bullet journal sprinting, but I'm so close to finishing Empire of Gold that I can't possibly fathom doing anything else except listening/reading this book. But I just wanted to come on here and talk about how shit is popping off. Shit is getting really intense. I have like 200 pages left, maybe, and I will say I think this book was a little bit too long it's just a little bit too long for me. But we are getting to the meat of things and I'm really, really scared. Like, some stuff took a turn when I was listening on my lunch break and my 15-minute break, and I didn't want to stop reading, but I had to go back to work. So I'm desperate to find out where things are going to go, because where I left off, like, it's not going well. Things are not going well. I'm preparing myself for somebody to die, like a major character to die. Anyway, I'm going to start listening again until we come back from the sprint, and I will probably just update you when I finish. It's done. That was a really good ending. I definitely think that this would go in my top series endings because there's very few series endings that I absolutely love or think are done really, really well. And I think this one was done really well. I will say, I think the book was a little bit too long in certain parts. It just felt a little dragged out, but by the end, I was feeling very satisfied. So take that how you will. It's obviously very hard to talk about a series ending or even the second book in a series with no spoilers, and I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I do think that there are some really great character arcs in here, especially for our main characters. Although with Nari, I do feel like she's pretty... Like, is the word a steadfast character? I feel like she's a very unwavering character where she knows what's right in her mind, and that's what she's always striving for, and that doesn't change in the book at all. I feel like she always is aware of what to her is the right side and what is the right thing to fight for, and she always is striving for that. So I think her character arc is a little bit different than the other two character arcs in here, which is nice because I think it's cool to have one character who's pretty steadfast in their beliefs and what they're fighting for or what they think they're fighting for, and to have two other characters who have so intensely believed that their side was the right side of history and that they were fighting for the right things in history and that they had the truth of what their history looked like. And they get faced with opposition and these truths within the story that go against everything that they believe and have believed and have been fighting for, and you get to see how they respond to that. And I think it's cool to have such differing situations for each character and not all of them having these intense character arcs, because Nari is pretty steadfast, and then Ollie and Dara have these really intense character arcs because of things that they believed in the past, and now the truths that they're being faced with in the present. I think that's so interesting. I loved seeing their character arcs. I will say Dara was really annoying to me in like the middle and first half of Empire of Gold, and then Ali was really annoying to me in the first book and half of Kingdom of Copper, and then I really started to like him. So I think that's also cool that my opinions about these characters continuously were changing and my feelings about them were continuously changing, and things that I was learning was making my opinions change. I think that's really cool when I'm not so set in a mindset about certain characters or about certain things in a book that I'm like changing with these characters. That's so cheesy, but I just had a really good experience with the character arcs in here. I mean, I feel like this goes without saying, but the writing in here obviously gets better with each book, and that's because I'm pretty sure City of Brass is S.A. Chakraborty's debut novel, so this makes sense to me. With each book that you write, you're becoming a better writer. So definitely the writing, I feel, gets better in this series as you go, but I think the politics in here and the overarching like message in here was so well done. The thread that holds all of these books together is a specific idea, and it's about like that if you're half human, that you are lesser, you are dirt, you are a dirt blood. And so I think that's such an interesting thing that was explored in every single book, and in the end became a really big and important aspect that we had been exploring for all three books. And all of the politics in this book also surround this idea of people being lesser because of their blood. And I thought that that was really well explored in here, and the messaging in the end when it came to that specific topic, I don't know, it was really well done to me. I liked what she was trying to convey here within this world, and like how the politics played into that, and how people were so hell-bent on certain ideas that they would start these gigantic wars that took out thousands of people And then other people that lost their families would then be like, I need to get revenge on these people because they killed my family. So I'm gonna fucking slaughter their family. Also, the imagery in these books, disgusting, but amazing. There's like a lot of horrific imagery in here, especially the last quarter of this book. Disgusting. But I loved it. I don't know. I think that this was a successful series read because I was absorbed into it. I think I read all of these in a little over a week, and I loved each one more and more. I can say that City of Brass is still my least favorite. Of the three, I guess, it would be my least favorite. But I'm curious about a reread. I know I keep saying that. I love rereading books, and that's kind of how I solidify if something is really a favorite book, is I'll reread it. But I'm curious to see how I'll feel about this, just because I feel like in the second book, there are so many relationships that start to get more defined in here, and there's like a lot of banter that happens. I don't know. I really, really liked Kingdom of Copper. I really liked Empire of Gold. But I guess maybe Kingdom of Copper would be my favorite book in the series, then Empire of Gold, then City of Brass. And I gave City of Brass a 4 stars, Kingdom of Copper a 4.5. And I want to give this a 4.5, but I almost want to give it a 5 stars just because I do feel like this had such a good and satisfying ending. So we're going to stick with a 4.5 right now, but just know this has an amazing series ending, in my opinion. Also, if you are a character-driven reader and you get really attached to characters, this series is so easy for you at the very least to get attached to one of the characters, if not multiple. I know by the end of this, there are like 5 people in this story that I would die for, and that's really exciting because I love characters. I love character stories. So I don't know if I covered everything that I wanted to about this series, but I don't think it would be possible for me to give you all of my thoughts on the series, especially spoiler-free. I'm glad that I decided to marathon this series, and it's made me more excited to look at my shelf and see what I want to marathon next. So if you have recommendations of a good series to marathon, let me know. I may or may not do it, just depending on if I own it or not. And I would love to know some of your thoughts on this series, on the Daevabad trilogy. Try to keep it spoiler-free if you can. If you can't, at least let everybody know that it's spoilery. And also, who's your favorite character? But anyway, I will talk to you next time. Bye!